Okay, stream is unmuted. Contacted a couple minutes early, or 1 minute early. So that's there. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Oh.
Hi.
Hola.
Viola.
Hello. Transcribe bot has been moved to here.
Oh, thank you. All right, we're ready to go here. Okay, I guess we can get started here. So, yeah, welcome to the April 2025 General Staff Meeting. The staff have just had their private portion to review the City of Pixel for Premiere. I will go straight into that right now. We took some time to review Pixel. Sesh, this is Sesh Penguin's city, if you don't know. Sesh, since he is a member of staff, we asked him to leave the staff chat while we were reviewing, which is per policy. The result is very close, but unfortunately Pixel will not be promoted to Premier. The vote is 11-4, 3 against. And to remind everyone, in order for a city to be promoted to Premier, you need 80% of 4 votes to be promoted. And in this case, 11 out of 14 is 78%. So, yeah, tough luck for Sesh and for Pixel there. But we have identified a few things that we think could be improved on with the city, and I think it's very close. I think if all those things were at least addressed or fixed upon, I think Pixel would definitely get Premier very easily. Okay, we will get to the rest of the meeting, but first we need to choose where the meeting is. And for that, we need to go to the spinning wheel. Spinning wheel's on stream. I'm going to see if I can stream it on Discord. How does this work? No, I don't want to stream Minecraft Discord. Okay, whatever. I'm just going to spin the wheel because I can't seem to get this to work. Okay, the wheel has chosen the southeast corner.
Oh no.
So
Wonderful.
I don't know how to get there.
There's a blue rail X1.
Why would I take blue rail? Okay.
I was there a second ago. I'm there now.
I'm just TPing to 29,999, 129,999.
That works. Okay. Switch to Minecraft here.
Bees and boats and bees and boats.
Where are people going to build in the southeast corner? We might need a platform, to be honest.
Oh goodness.
No, up here seems a reasonable place.
In the sky?
Taking the
Yes.
from Larkspur.
It would be nice if there was like some sort of platform, so it's a little easier for us admins to roll it back.
Well, I mean, Larkspur is technically straight northwest of here.
Okay, I'm gonna let you guys self-organize. We're gonna get the rest of the meeting started then. So, all right. So there's section 1, section 2. We're going to move on to conductor applications in section 3. We have 2 conductor applicants at this meeting. We have Narnia17 and Tonster_. So first off, we're going to, I need to randomize the staff list. So give me a sec here.
Do we have a board yet?
They'll probably build one.
Oh, they're building it right on top of the MRT symbol.
All right, I have the list randomized. So first conductor applicant we're going to be voting on is Narnia 17. I do have some absentee ballots, so I'll fill them in as we go here. So first up for voting is Zuge, who sent in an absentee ballot that said 4. Jinty.
4.
Jinty votes 4. AP.
4.
FOA, okay. I am voting neutral. Frozen. Where's Frozen? Is he here?
I saw him type earlier. Frozen's here.
We might have to yell at him because he's not in the vote.
4.
He just chatted.
Chatted 4? In the...
Where is it?
It's in the text
is it
channel.
in-
Yeah, in that channel. Okay, we have to
So
look
that's
at...
4.
We have to look there. Okay, so that's 4. MBF.
4.
MBF votes 4. HVT voted 4. M Polo did not submit a vote, so did not vote. Skelly. Skelly's
Skelly
voting
votes 4.
4. Okay, and then Needon.
4.
Needon votes 4. Alpha has voted 4. DNA.
4.
DNA is voting 4. 7D submitted absentee ballot, voting 4. Missa submitted absentee ballot, voting neutral. Vicky.
I'll vote 4.
Vicky voted 4. Foot. Foot's here? Is Foot? I saw Foot somewhere.
4.
Oh, yeah, you are. Okay. And finally, Sesh Penguin.
I'll be voting 4.
Okay, Sesh Penguin voted 4. While you tabulate the votes, I'm going to read some of the votes here. Missa's vote voted neutral.
14 for 2 neutral, 0 against, 1 did not vote.
Okay. Actually, that's very few did not votes. Missa said, "My concern lies in Narnia's relatively recent return to the server. Like I expressed when we were considering Echo Hue for conductor, I personally prefer to see candidates being solidly integrated into the community for a bit longer." Alpha voted 4. I recall positive interactions with them a few years ago when they were staff. They also have pretty strong activity recently. HVD voted 4. Really likes help out with projects from what I can see. 7D voted 4. Eager to help. World Ed experience. Zuge voted 4. Narnia, a long time member of the community, and he's the only kind in the interactions I've had with him. The floor is yours. What do you guys want to... anything that people want to state here?
I think, yeah, generally, like, Narnia is great. I really enjoy interacting with him. Narnia has good world edit experience. So I don't think there's anything else I have to add.
I mean, mine...
Yeah,
oh, go ahead, AP, sorry.
I was going to say, experiences, obviously Narnia has been on the staff team before, as far as I'm aware, was a good staff member, when at the time, and good with world edit, and that is good with world edit, willing to help out. That's ultimately what matters with conductor.
I'm voting neutral, probably, hopefully for obvious reasons. Based on essentially our personal relationship with Narnia, and how he, the way he had left the staff team. So I don't think I can foresee myself voting for anytime soon. So, but if the rest of the staff are fine with that, then I'm okay with that. So based on that, if there's no other opinions, or I guess I'll say if there's anyone who wants to change their vote, now is the final call to do so. Okay, hearing nothing. Hopefully no one's typing right now. Therefore, Narnia is promoted to conductor with a vote of 14-2. Congratulations, Narnia. Elite, we don't need to do that. The conductors don't need to go do a pledge thing. Okay, next candidate is Tonster. I'm going to randomize the list again. Okay, this time, Sesh, you're the first one to go. So, what is your vote for Tonster?
4.
Sesh is voting for. HVT submitted an absentee ballot, voting neutral. Needon. Needon?
Yes. No, my vote is not. Yes, my vote is neutral.
Needon's voting neutral. Vicky.
Neutral.
Vicky's voting neutral. Jinty.
4.
Jinty's voting for. DNA.
4.
DNA's voting for. And Polo did not vote. Zooj voted. Where is it? Zooj is voting for. AP.
Neutral.
AP's voting neutral. 7D voted for. Foot.
Neutral.
Foot is voting neutral. Missa is voting for. Frozen. It's probably going to type in that channel there. Frozen's voting for. MBF.
Neutral.
MBF's voting neutral. Skelly. Skelly's voting
Skelly is neutral.
Neutral. And Alpha is voting neutral. And I am voting neutral.
What did Jinty vote again?
Believe it was 4?
Yeah, 4.
Yep. So definitely a little bit more split
Alright.
here. Yeah.
7901. So currently failing.
I will read the absentee ballots. So Missa voted for. Since Tonster's returned to the server, I haven't seen any concerning behavior and feel they would make a good addition to this conductor team. Alpha's voting neutral. Although I haven't seen any issues since they returned, I'll still be on the cautious side right now, given that they were re-promoted only 3.5 months ago. HVT is voting neutral, not really leaning any way with this one. 70 is voting for. Skill at World Edit, also eager to help. Zooj is voting for. Tonster is very skilled in World Edit and always willing to help me and others who ask.
Yeah, my neutral goes similar to, I can't remember whose it was, that they were relatively recently re-promoted, and especially considering the circumstances of their warning, I can't in good conscience vote for at this time.
Yeah, I think I'm very similar to Vicky on this. I'm not in good faith able to vote for Tonster. I was considering whether against would be more appropriate, but the original incident was 2 years ago coming up on. So, like, that bit of time has passed, but I cannot, in good conscience, say, especially considering how serious it was.
Okay, fair enough. Skelly, I noticed you just said that you're voting neutral because of an incident that happened today. You may want to elaborate on that if you don't mind. While Skelly's writing that, I think I'm more actually along with HVT's sort of position. Like, I do know Tonster did submit a reflection letter for what he did. He did apologize for it. He did take a while to do it, though. I don't know if that's worth noting. But I'm more of a camp of, like, I don't know Tonster that well enough to go either way, so I'm not sure. So hence my neutral vote. So it does seem like perhaps people are voting neutral for a lot of different reasons here. Okay, I'll read out what Skelly's saying. I could have my facts wrong, so please correct me, Tonster, but there were concern raised about Tonster pasting his large schematics for another member to make large edits to terrain. This is not against the rules, but I do question whether better communication, i.e. some sort of heads ups to staff, would have been more appropriate. I guess I'm filling in words there. That is also very world edits related, so I mean, yeah.
What do you mean pasting in large schematic if they're not conductor? Yeah.
So I believe what happened was Tonster built something in single player offline, and then had protocol or some other conductors help them paste in roughly about 500 schematics.
Oh yeah, it's that mountain. I can't remember where it is. But yeah.
Yeah, so when I heard about this, kind of what I was thinking is like, even if that's not currently against the rules, we're kind of like figuring that out. But I think someone who will be conductor should kind of err on the side of caution with stuff like that, and if necessary, talk with staff about this. I think giving that that deciding power of like whether to do like 500 schematics to someone that does that, I don't think that is a good precedent.
Tonster's here, right? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, PP.
Yeah, whilst we're at it, I'm switching my vote to against.
Okay. AP's changing to
Okay, so
against.
AP's voting against, and I believe I'll do the same.
I do feel like maybe do we want to give Tonster a chance to respond, perhaps, or anything?
Actually,
like
yeah, never mind. Yeah.
that? Oh, okay. I'm not sure.
Keep it
Currently 781.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it tentatively at against, but I might switch back if. Yeah.
I'm on the fence of neutral and against.
Yeah, Tonster is in game, but I'm not sure if he is here or if he'd like to. If there's anything, Tonster, do you understand what Skelly and has said here? Like, oh, Tonster is typing. Okay. Okay, we'll just give you some time there. I guess for those voting for, is there anything we need to know on that end? Like anything you want to like? Okay, it seems like there's a lot. Okay, Dina's going to type something. There seems to be a lot of typing going on, so we're just going to have some lovely silence in the meeting.
Several people are typing.
Oh.
Dot.
Okay.
For MBF's TC attachments, best is like the best.
I'm not trying to fill airtime while we wait here. Oh, I see someone's built a platform up here, so at least. Okay, that's nice and clean. Is this your new 40-foot bus, MBF?
Can't remember, MBF. Do you have any metro trains?
Just thinking for Tonster, if we're going to give them a chance to respond, should we invite them up onto stage?
It seems like they decide to type. I guess that's what they prefer. I don't know if they prefer to talk or not. DNA is typing because I think their mic died. So.
Oh boy.
Oh, okay. Tantra said it might be easier if you explain on stage. So maybe that might. Yeah, we should have offered that first. So yeah. Can you? I think you have to push like request to speak or something.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me or?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear
Hello.
you.
Yeah.
So in this specific instance with loading that number of schematics, I don't remember, at least in my experience so far, is that I haven't remembered a case where I would need to notify staff for loading a bunch of schematics. And in this specific instance with this mountain that was being summoned, the number of schematics comes down to the block limit, where I was keeping it under 150, and then I had a code to take a larger schematic and split into smaller numbers.
Okay.
So, and overall, when it comes to this one too, the reason why I felt comfortable like suggesting that we should paste in this number of at least this number of schematics is because there was nothing that could have likely lagged the game or likely spawned a bunch of entities.
So, just to be very clear, it's not the number of schematics I think is the issue. I think it's mostly around the respect the landscape rule. Because if it's something like a big mountain, which it seems... technically, I actually personally haven't seen it, but maybe I'll go take a look. But technically, if it's something of like a large landmass change, you should probably check with staff if that's actually okay within that rule. And I think that's the issue here. Because I'm like for the previous ones that you've done, Tonster, I think have those ones been large landmass changes or something different? Because that might have been why
those two were fairly large landmass changes. They're especially like my old town. Also, I know that I know staff also has helped paste it in at that time. That was a fairly large landmass change. And I can also point to I think Tuxtown's also, I think, what's it called, Solstice Springs also has large landmass changes, but that required that used a brush, and that also took a little bit more time. So really, I don't know if there was in those at least those specific instances. I'm not sure where I need to have communicate to staff ahead of time.
Okay. Dina's typed out what he said. So I'm voting loosely for purely based on the fact that Tantra has good communication skills and thorough knowledge of Roland. While I understand the concerns raised previously in Tantra's warning, I feel the conductor role is a detached Okay, it's cut off in game. Hold on. It's detached enough from general service decisions to the point where Tantra's promotion to conductor would still benefit the server as a whole. The incident was over 2 years ago. By now, I've never had a chance to read Tantra's appeal, but I trust that it had at least some remorse or reflection to the ban appeal had been accepted. Apologies for my microphone issues. I'll be AFK for a minute while I fix it. Okay, so yeah, as I said, I think there's several different reasons why people are voting neutral or against here. I guess maybe let's address the landscape one first. Like, I'm not sure, Skelly. I don't know if what do you think of that? Do you have anything to add there, perhaps, based on that? Skelly says, the issue here is that conductors need to be able to trust it and to not do anything crazy with their powers.
it does seem like the concerns are falling into fallout from the warning, and kind of the discretion when it comes to these large landscape changes, which admittedly we need to sort out on our end, on the staff end.
Skelly has continued. World is still a big deal. While I don't consider this scenario an abuse per se, I do think that's something that I would want a conductor to run by staff in the conductor's channel in Discord. Frozen says, yeah, but within the rules, we don't have anything related to big landscape change per current rules. I'm willing to give ton of pass on this, but we do need to address this proposal. Well, technically, Frozen, there is a rule. It's just not well defined. It vaguely says, like, don't make large landscape changes like that. So it's not very specific about the details or whether you need to ask permission, but there is something there. Like, I think it's also kind of assumed that if there is a rule like that, if you're not sure, we would expect members to at least ask staff before they do it, just to be sure.
And I mean, I agree for the most part with Frozen on the it is not well defined right now, as like I've seen some pretty, or like you can stretch like the current rule, like respect the landscape, from like you can go with either extreme, and like so we definitely need to work that out, and so we're gonna do that, I think, probably with the next GSM.
70 is working on a proposal, but it's not. It has a lot of outstanding questions that need to be figured out. So
yes,
yeah,
okay, yes. So but that's why for me it's a neutral. It's definitely not a no, and like I think it could still work, but I think it's important that we as staff communicate clearly to the conductors, like, hey, this is something we want you to monitor. Like, if there's things you think are, like, if you are asked to do commands or to do world edit that you think might be breaking the rules, like getting close to breaking the rules, like, please ask them, are you sure? And also verify with staff. And I think that's our part, but also I think with him, like, I think it's good to check that off, that he's okay with that and that. But I don't think it's a big issue, but it's something we need to address. That's just what I'm saying.
I agree with that, Nita. I think there's some staff responsibility that we need to remind conductors on that. But yeah, in general, what we want is if there's any sort of even a little bit of doubt of whether this is legal or not, we would prefer that you check with staff, just to make sure that it's okay. Okay, we're getting a little sidetracked here, but we do need to go back to Tonster's vote here. So I'm not sure if I should be instructing staff to, like, ignore the world edit part instant or not. I think I will not. If you want to include that in your vote or take it into consideration, I'll leave it to you. Same thing with the incident of Tonster from 2 years ago. If you want to consider that as part of your vote, that is fine. That's your personal choice. But yeah. So I will ask: would anyone like to change their vote at this time?
I'm going to keep it as against, given everything. I think either thing in itself would be neutral, but both together, like, is bringing me into against.
Okay.
I'm very close to against, but I don't think I will.
Okay.
Seeing the concerns of other staff members, otherwise I would consider, like, switching to 4, but seeing the concerns of other staff members I think it's best to wait for a bit to have this more figured out, and like give them the opportunity to reapply in what is it, 3 months?
Yeah. Skelly says, I'll keep it neutral for this time around. But I don't mind seeing response to reapply soon. But communication is important, is my point. Okay. All right. If you're not hearing any other changes, I think we're going to lock in with this vote as it stands. So it is at the moment 7-4, 8 neutral, 1 against. That is, not a promotion. So unfortunately, Thompson will not be promoted to conductor, based on the concerns that have been voiced here. So. All right. I thought these votes were not going to be take too long, but it seems like they took a little bit longer than I expected. So now we're going to go on to the community issues, which will probably take even more of our time. So
Yay!
So everyone, put your thinking caps on, because these do require a little bit of thought. The first one up is 5A. So technically, this is my proposal, but it is based on previous proposals from Light and Zooge, where, if you recall, at the last GSM, we were talking about a point system for airfields. We decided at that GSM, we're not going to do that. We're going to instead look at what a good percentage is that we could propose for airfield sizes instead of 700 to 500 blocks. And based on the data that was collected, thank you everyone for submitting and using 7D's measuring tool to get that information. The average seems to be around median. It's like around 13,000 blocks, 20,000 blocks, somewhere around there. So that would be about 10%, or that number would be 10% of what an average Senator city would be. So my proposal is proposing to change the maximum Senator airfield size to 10% of the city size, or 75 blocks, whichever is greater. So if it somehow is less than 7,500, you'll still get 7,500 as a minimum. One last thing I want to mention is if you look in the Discord thread, there was some discussion about, or some questions, good questions actually, about how does this apply to governor airports. There were some people asking, if this is 10%, does that mean governor is 50%? That means altogether I can make an airfield or airports combined space of 60%. And I'm going to caution against that, because that's not what we intended with the governor airport rule is. I think it'd be a lot easier to understand if we just made it 50% for governor, and then that 10% for airfield is included within that 50%. I think if you look at all the different scenarios I posted in there, like, it's a lot easier to just understand. Like some people build first their airfield and then a governor airport with the rest of so they would use the rest of their 40% of their space. In other cases, some people don't skip the Senator airfield and just wait until they get to governor, and then at that point they have a full 50% to work with there. But overall, everybody's overall airfield or airport space is can be a maximum of 50%. Okay, so
honestly, I'm fine with I'm fine with raising it to what is proposed.
Yeah, I'm mostly in agreement. I would say maybe 15%, but ultimately 10%, 15%. I'm not going to argue too much over it.
The nice thing, AP, though, is if we just go with 10% now and then we find it's not big enough, we can increase it to 15 later on. If we were to go 15 now and then we decide that's too large and we have to go back, that's even harder.
We'd have to grandfather things in.
Yeah, so
I would agree with the 10%.
And then people would complain that, like, Why are they able to build like a larger airfield but I can't? And
Yeah.
that sounds like
Yeah.
yes. So 10% for now. If it turns out it's still too restrictive, we can return. I think that's fine.
Okay. This is a big change because it's been 7,500 for what, 11 years, I guess? Because I think, yeah.
Yes, but I think our standards for what constitutes a senator city has gone up and up and up. Senator cities overall are a lot larger than they were towards the start of the New World.
Also, I've always thought that airfields are a little bit too small. I wish they were bigger. So
Yeah.
now they'll be bigger. And I'm like, yay.
Recall
I
that.
agree.
Recall that the original intent of Leiden Zoo and the discussion was people like they thought the senator airfields at 7,500 blocks were unrealistic, so we tried to figure out solutions for this. We're expanding to 10%. There is I can see the argument. There is a fear that because it's just increasing, people will still try to cram as many gates into that 10%. But I'm hoping people will be a little bit more sane and be like, oh, no, at least you have breathing room to like, okay, maybe make a terminal, make it a little bit more look like an airport, right? So,
Yeah. What I don't want to see
Yeah.
is the same thing but with more gates.
yeah,
Yeah,
we might see that, but we'll see.
Yeah, because the problem with the 7,500 blocks is at the minute, which this should alleviate, you cannot get a realistic terminal in. You cannot get even any taxiway. You pretty much have to have gates up against the runway, which is not safe.
One thing I will mention also, just for a reminder, senator airfields will still not be. They won't require. They still won't require proposals or anything like that. So people can just build these 10% just as before if they're 7,500 block ones. It's not going to add any sort of bureaucracy or burden on the staff to approve things or delays, I guess. So
Just don't. Word of warning: don't try to take advantage of this. So we'll have to go back and ruin it for everyone. Okay? Thank you.
I guess one of the other things might be best codifying. Say, a large city has the space for 2 airfields that are within its 10%. Whether we want to just codify it and say that's okay.
technically, so I think how the airport ruled is we sort of, instead of going through like all the little minute details, we basically said you can build any sort of airport or airfield facility, like whether it's a terminal, runway, gate, whatever, but as long as it's within that space. So if someone wants to split their 10% into 100 airfields, technically that's okay, but I mean, I guess there might have to be a sort of limit of like what is realistic, right? So
Each one would have to be just one helipad.
yeah.
So, but just in the final wording to make sure that, like, it's just kind of how it is now, just like the airfield space and not like the airfield. But should be easy.
Sorry, what do you mean, Eden, specifically?
Oh, so what we were just talking about is just that, from what I see, is that it's that we're talking about like in the rules, like how it gets edited. It's just like the airfield space is 10% of the town, and nothing like you can have like the airfield can be 10% of the town, if that makes sense.
Correct. Yes. I'm going to answer a few questions I see in chat here. Cody says I'd be fine with this proposal. My main thing would be allow me to redo STS as more realistic. Yes. So to clarify, if you have an existing if your own senator city, if you have an existing 7,500 block airfield, you can. The rule applies to you. You can then meet as soon as the rules in place. You can expand it to 10%. For people of governor airports, again, in this case, the 50% rules would apply in total. Actually, I'm kind of thinking there might be a loophole here, because would the person, if they have like if a governor city has an airfield and airport, do they need to propose any airfield changes? Because technically that is, a change in their land space, I guess. Does that make sense, everyone? Like what I'm saying?
I think they still would.
They would need to propose any changes.
If you already have a governor airport, I think you should have to propose changes.
Okay.
I think we can probably simplify it down to 10. Up to 10% is you don't need a proposal from senator. Up to 50%, you do need a proposal. So if you're at 40%, you want to go to 45%, that still needs a proposal.
No question though.
Yeah.
When's the last time an airport proposal has been rejected?
I think it might have been OCR.
I think there was one where someone didn't put a map or something, or it might have been rejected on a technicality or something.
If we're just rubber stamping them, then what's the point in having them propose it at all?
Counterpoint, MBF.
Yeah.
Is it possible that people are actually being really diligent about their governor airports to the point that we don't have to reject them? Like
that too.
Right. So that might be. We could be seeing that. I'm just not. I'm not sure. I think it's more. I think it's better to think of it more of as just a check, just to make sure that someone doesn't build another Ivy or another international MRT international airport. We just want to just make. I think it's also, in a way, it's also kind of good advertising, because then it's not just staff looking at it; it's people saying, "Airport gates." Like you know what I mean? Like, it at least gives people like heads up that the airport is coming, right? So.
True.
But I see your point, MBF. Like, we have been approving. I mean, we rubber stamp a lot of things around here, so.
But we have that process. We have that check in place anyway.
Yeah. Yes, airport is coming.
I'd rather have a process in which we rubber stamp 90% of things, because that 10% could be quite bad.
Yeah. Okay, I'm being quoted here, so I think we're good. I think we need to move on to the next topic. So is there any other concerns about this change? Yeah. Vicky, I don't know if in the minutes did you make sure to mention that the scenarios that we were talking about just a few minutes ago?
Let's see. I got the governor city one. Was there another scenario? I can't remember.
Basically, yeah. If the scenario is if they want to change their senator airfield, but they're already governor, they would need. Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah, if they are, I said if they have an existing governor airport, then they need to propose. Mm-hmm. You get what I mean.
Yep, I think we're on the same page.
Was there? I got that one. Was there another one?
I don't think so, unless someone can think. Like, there might be a loophole that we're missing, perhaps.
I don't know, an existing governor airport that is less than the 10%. That's an existing governor airport that's less than the 10%, whether that becomes classified as an airfield under the rules, but that's nitpicky.
I did mention this in the go ahead, Needed. Sorry.
Oh no, but that should be fine. Like, if we classify that like any air facility under 10% is like, we don't have to check it like rubber stamp with everyone. Then like if a governor facility suddenly becomes like an under 10% facility, I guess that just solves itself. So.
Vicky, I put this in the proposal too, but there is one scenario where, say, Center City is 7,500. And the governor airport already goes up, it's actually 50%. So it's actually 50% plus 7,500. I did state in the proposal that that's us, or.
It's just whichever is higher. So if for some reason the senators, if the city is like less than 7,500, or not 75,000, it would be 7,500.
Yeah, basically what I'm saying is I think there's some exceptions out there that are like that. So those ones, I think they're just.
Sorry.
Go
I've
ahead.
always assumed that the Senator airfield's already counted towards the governor allocation.
I think.
That's what I assumed when I proposed LAR, I believe.
Yeah, I think. I'm not sure where I'm getting this from, but I feel like we might have not been enforcing that consistently over the years. So I feel like there might be some airports out there that actually go a little bit beyond 50% because of that sort of scenario, but I might be wrong. So,
I mean, if someone's proposed it, we've approved, and in hindsight, it's above the 50%. In that case, I think that's us as staff. That's our mistake.
Yeah, we're not going to enforce that. On
the administrative side.
Yeah, we're not going to enforce that. So, but that's basically what I'm saying. Like, I don't want people who have that scenario to be worried that we're going to like come in and reduce their space or something like that. So. Okay, I think
I said, as a reminder, this air facility does count towards the 50% allowed for governor airports. I'll probably add something about it not being enforced as much previously, but more so now.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're done with this topic unless there's any other comments here.
Oh yeah, so one thing, Vicky, we discussed a bit ago, like the senator is air facilities, not just singular. Like there can be multiple with the senator, as long as it's within 10%.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to like get the drama of like having to enforce things that like are on different places, differently worded. So like, let's get the wording right.
Is the current? I may have to double check it. The current wording does say something along those lines too, right? Like it says you can build whatever the heck you want, essentially, within a percentage. 7,500 blocks, I guess, or 50%, right? It's like any combination of runway, terminal, whatever. Okay, I'm not hearing anything else, so I think we're going to move on to the next topic. I'm trying to get rid of a frog in my throat, so apologies for people who had to hear that. I should not have shouted. So we're approving this rule. It is in effect immediately, now.
Woo! Go forth and build your airfields.
And the gate apocalypse will be upon us. I don't know. Good luck. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Yeah, clean up otherwise as well.
We can hear you, Dino. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Okay, so Nedian just clarified. It says about a singular facility. Yeah, we need to. Yeah, we should adjust the rule so it says. It could be multiple facilities if someone.
Yeah, multiple air facility. I put multiple airfields. I'll change to air facilities for like heli gates are allowed as long as they are less than the allowed area when combined. E.g., 5% plus 5% is allowed, but 6% plus 6% is not.
Yeah, or word in a different way. As long as their total area combined is less within the maximum. Oh, excuse me. Okay, let's move on to 5B. So, Solars is, I think, Japan time's weird, so I don't think Solars is here. I guess I'll read out Solar's proposal. So yeah, Solar Echo has recently reiterated their lack of plans to return server. Echo, so just so people know, Echo is currently deputy mayor, aka caretaker of Lanark. Lanark is owned by IREC. Iraq is inactive. So, based on this, what Solars is proposing, or is asking staff to do, is I know it's JJA Echo, or JJA PTLD, or PTLD. In the proposal, Solars is saying Echo here. So Solars is, with Iraq now missing nearly 5 years without any ability to contact, there is no way for Lanark to be properly cared for in the absence of Echo. As a result, I would like to put forward to the staff and the community that it should take over as caretaker of Lanark. A plan has been endorsed by Echo on multiple occasions. I can produce evidence upon this request, etc. As for my relationship to the city, Iraq and I worked very closely together as our cities developed, from linking our metros together to, of course, the Horizon National Airport. I have an active vested interest and history of working with Lanark, not just because Konawa is its direct neighbor. I put forward this topic to the community and staff in the hopes that it was seriously considered as in the best interest of both now and the future of Lanark. Just to clarify, because I saw some confusion about this, so Echo is deputy mayor of Lanark. Echo, or the deputy mayor, cannot transfer their deputy mayorship to another town. Just that works for premier as well. So only the mayor can change it, and in this case, the mayor is Iraq, and Iraq is not here. So, I believe we clarified this with the premier cities in a proposal a while ago. The only other way for us to change a deputy mayor is for staff to forcibly do it. And we did say that we'd only do that in rare, perhaps extenuating circumstances. Though what that exactly means, we'd never gotten into details of this. So this would be the first time this would happen. It does keep in mind that whatever we decide here does set a precedent for future decisions like this. So.
I think one thing is that Echo has started to show up again here recently, which kind of, he has. I've seen him online a few times these past several days. Oh, Echo said he had a break in work. Okay, yeah. I did not hear that.
Yeah, Echo has stressed that this is not him returning to the server.
Okay.
So I want to ask, what could extenuating circumstances be? Because I don't think there can be many things that cannot be solved with an inactive asset. What was it? Not bypass manager or
maintenance.
Something like that? Maintenance that would anything extenuating would probably fall under that. So what is in mind? Should it be able to be transferred, or and if so, can it just be we check that they have as far as we can see, no ulterior motives and just accept it, or do we feel we need to be stricter on it?
To be honest, I'm leaning towards accepting this transfer as is. The circumstances. If this isn't extenuating circumstances, I'm not sure what is. You've got the mayor that is AWOL, no way of contacting. A deputy mayor that has expressed a want to not be the DM anymore. Solas mentions email contacts that Echo may have had. I don't know if you've still got that from Paul. I don't think it went to the general staff inbox.
Sorry, what are you asking? The
email that Echo might have sent, as mentioned in the proposal.
Yeah, I did receive that email, and I did inform Echo that I think that's what. I did inform Echo that he can't change the deputy mayor. He would have to. I think from that point on, he then told Solars to then propose to submit this proposal. So that's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, this is the extenuating circumstances we put the rule in for.
Yeah, I think at bare minimum, I think probably at the bare minimum, I think two criteria should be met. One is that the mayor, in this case, Iraq, is unreachable, and like not just inactive, but like unreachable. And two, that the existing caretaker is going inactive or are themselves unreachable.
I think I agree for the most part. I would say this does probably meet the criteria for extenuating circumstances. I don't really think there'd be a negative of making Solis the new deputy mayor, unless someone else can think of anything that would make this a bad change.
I mean, I'm ready to just pointed out that there is a chance that Eric wouldn't want Solars to be deputy, but again, how would we know that? Like as Frozen said, we don't know.
That's why I said not just inactive but unreachable, because if they were reachable, they could just say, "Hey, I'll appoint so and so as a new caretaker," but that's not the case.
Yeah. Okay, I'm actually glad that we're doing this, but we are kind of basically fleshing out what is extenuating circumstances in this. So,
I can't think of anyone in any case who would have a better claim to a deputy mayorship of a premier like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time Iraq was actually contactable, when last time they were active on the server at all.
It's definitely years at this point. Like it's not. I actually kind of feel I might be confusing with another premier, but I feel like they were the kind of premier who got premier and then they got the hell of Dodge, like they disappeared.
I think you're right there.
I mean, some some people are like that because premier is kind of the end thing. There's nothing else to do here. What I guess from their perspective. So okay. So I'm not hearing any other objections to this, so it sounds like we will be changing the deputy mayor for Lanark to Solars and granting Solars' request here.
To say your thing radial, if Iraq had objections, then I don't know, they read the GSM notes and have objections, then
actually
they can change it. They have the power to change it back.
They do, yeah. But they just don't have any control of what Solars is going to do with the town in the meantime. But they do have mayors have the ability to dismiss deputy mayors at any time. So, yeah.
Do we also want to set a policy right now, like kind of like Vicky was saying? I think. Oh, go ahead.
I'm not sure if we need to put it in writing, but I think we can. I would hope people remember. Like, I think we can. This sort of decision would be memorable enough that we will, in case it happens again, we can just point to say, oh, we can compare it to the Lanark and Solar's request, and then compare it from there. That's what I'm saying. That is the precedent we're setting here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because I'm from a place where most things are codified and not that much is like based upon precedent, I feel like, but I think to be able to execute the rules for everyone the same, I think it's easiest if we put it in writing, and then people know what to expect even before going through old GSM logs and stuff.
Okay, that's a fair point. If we're going to put it in writing, how will we change it? So I'll read you I'm reading what is said on the premier section on the ranks page. It says, in extenuating circumstances, staff may decide at a GSM to forcibly assign a deputy mayor to a premier city if there is sufficient reason to do so. So based on that, how would you change that? Like, how would you?
Probably clarify that sufficient reason. Maybe. So what were the things that you listed earlier, Vicky? Because those sounded good.
I like at minimum 2 requirements that the actual mayor, like once again in this case Iraq, is unreachable, and 2 that the existing deputy mayor or caretaker wishes to go inactive, or is inactive, or even unreachable.
Yes, I think that's a good base thing, and I think the only thing I would add to that is to put like a number on like the unreachable. Like, of course, unreachable we determine that as staff, but I think it's also important to put in the requirements that the person that is seeking to become DM of a premier city has given like a 1 week or 2 week notice, like, hey, I'm sending this in via Discord, eventual email, if that's, or in-game mail, kind of as per other like IAT kind of things. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't want to get too in the weeds of this because this sort of thing is not. It's supposed to be a rare occurrence anyway. So, I think I'd maybe just say something like, if there's sufficient reason to do so, some reasons could include the mayor being inactive and unreachable by any means, and maybe something along the lines of like the person has some sort of claim on the city or something like that. I don't want. I would just also want to very specific. Like these are just some reasons. There could be other reasons that we haven't even thought of. Like there might be some other scenarios that happen
I
later.
think that would be reasonable.
Yeah, like
Yeah, but the intent of this is meant to be a bit of a catch-all, a bit of a we can't codify what we don't know.
And so, if we codify what we know already, I mean, the reason we have these staff meetings for, like, that we're still addressing this at staff meetings, is we can look at the circumstances and see if there's any adjustments that need to be made based on, like, away from that rule, like, of thumb, pretty much. But then people have followed the right procedure, and we know, like, they've done everything that they need to do, and we don't have to revisit it, like, another GSM later or something.
okay. We'll add something along that onto that, I guess. I feel like the whole like asking 1 week. I feel like that should be like essentially they would be submitting a GSM proposal at that point. I think it'd be a good. I think it'd be assumed that they'd be doing it. I don't know if we should put that in writing. It seems like I don't know.
I would
Kind of implied.
not assuming anything. Like, if we want people to do something, we need to express it to them. I think that's one of the things that I've always been told that's really important, especially on a server with like people who might be neurodivergent in a lot of different ways. Like, make clear what the expectations are, and then people are more likely to follow them immediately instead of like having to revisit and revisit and revisit.
That is true, but one counter argument is if you just say it all explicitly, it does add a lot more rules, and more rules means more chance they're not going to read all of it, is my point. So,
okay, here's what I wrote so far. So, the DM/caretaker role for Lenark will be forcibly transferred from Echo to Solaris. We do reaffirm that there should be, quote, extenuating circumstances for staff to force a DM change of a premier city. Sufficient reasons for staff to do this could include, but are not limited to, the mayor being unreachable and the DM being inactive. Furthermore, the actual mayor may return and overwrite this change at any time.
yeah, that sounds good, Vicky.
Yeah.
Okay, again, I consider this sort of thing to happen rarely. I think to your point, if we were talking about something that happened like on a day-to-day basis, like very commonly, like I don't know, maybe IATs or something, then I want to be more like as explicit as possible. But for this sort of thing, and there's only so many premiers, I don't know if we need to go into that much detail on this, but.
Okay, I can live with that. That's all right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So decision is that the new deputy mayor / caretaker of Lenark is Solars, and that's about it, I think. Okay, we're going to move on to the final community issue topic. That is the repealing the ban on piston bolts, submitted by Whale. Is Whale around? Yes, he is. Whale, do you want to talk? Do you want to speak on this topic in front of everyone here? If you're listening. Okay. So we'll bring you up on stage here. Oh, already there.
All right. Hi. Hello. Does this sound like a person?
Yes, you sound like a person.
Essentially.
All right.
Are you a robot?
I'm also gonna do an audio check from last night. Do I sound like a robot?
No.
Are you a robot?
Are you a
Just
Cylon?
Make sure to identify the
I
cards.
promise I've only
so-
failed
so
to capture
make sure.
2 times this week.
You sound fine.
You sound
Okay.
fine. I'm just joking.
Get on with it.
So, first of all, thanks for giving me the time on stage. Secondly, some of you may have noticed that I have in fact constructed a little loop here on this platform. And I assume that some of you may be a little confused as to why I have somewhere between persistently and stubbornly submitted this issue forward in spite of it being declined last year. Well, at the most basic level, I just think it's cool. But of course, that's just me. Now, there's perhaps Vicky, what are you doing? There's a more personal component to this that I suppose I only really made known to a few people. It's, to summarize as much as I can, well, I think you all knew that my interests with the way they relate to transportation and to activity on the server don't really cross in the same way that most people's do. You see, I kind of have a pretty big thing for Redstone, and while you might say, oh, well, Whale, this isn't exactly a Redstone server. We like building cities and transportation. And you know what? That's great. If I didn't think it was great, I wouldn't be here. But I do think Redstone and transportation, which are 2 of my core interests crossed together and why I'm here, do have a place on this server. And personally, I feel like the ban on piston bolts is an affront to that. I do not feel like, with the ban in place as it is, that I will be able to participate in the server that I feel befits what I'm interested in. And I promise this isn't just about me. Because I do make perhaps a very roundabout argument that to be almost as corny as possible, that there is such a thing as strength and diversity of interests. Boy, haven't we heard that one before. Oh, you guys want to pause that? Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'm just gonna put a stop on that.
No, it's just
needs a moment.
the transcription bot
Am I talking too
doesn't
fast?
seem. The transcription bot doesn't seem to get to work until after you stop talking. That's just something to be aware of.
Oh. I didn't know that. Oops. Okay, so how long should I stop talking for? Is it all good
You
now?
can continue. It's
Just keep going.
Each utterance has a little bit of a delay for the transbot.
Yeah, just
Is
keep
all
going.
caught up now?
Just keep going, Will. Yeah.
Right. So, I understand that currently, I think a lot of people are interested in that train building plugin called Train Carts. And you know what? That's great. I think for a lot of building possibilities and a lot of transportation and what people want to do on this server, you know, that's great. You know, I'd love to see it, even if I'm not somebody that maybe would pick that as my first choice for reasons. But I also think that, rather awkwardly, I just disabled that, that banning piston bolts and, more importantly, making the statement that redstone and transportation are not a valid cross of interests that are welcomed here, at least in my opinion, really harms the creativity that you can bring out with train carts. Because I understand that alongside the aesthetics of building train carts and building attachments, in fact, I think there was a 40-foot bus here, like earlier, that, yes, you know, NBF, you can talk about the bus bolt in like a few minutes if you really want to. It was funny as hell. that I think that just really puts a damper on what people are able to do, because there is an aesthetic side, but at the end of the day, there is also a functional side. And I feel like as much as people have tried to switch their systems over to train cards, perhaps for reliability, perhaps because they're not really into the whole redstone thing, and that's totally understandable, that essentially they tried running away from the redstone and got sucked back in anyways. And I feel like the more we continue to send this message that redstone and transportation are not a valid cross of interest here, the more people who are good at redstone and can help people with that sort of thing get pushed away. The more we feel like people like me feel like we're not welcome here. That our interests are not valid. So that's why I feel strongly about it.
I just want to make sure you're done.
Are there any comments at this time?
Honestly, I think I do appreciate your passion, though I do think that the actual answer is that it's a little bit of a holdover from the old world. I don't really see it that piston bolts are banned as a holdover from the old world. Sorry. I think they're fine. I don't really notice any lag with the piston bolts. It's definitely slower.
We did our best to test this like last year. Frumple, if you would like to give the results on that. Let me undisable that.
I don't have what results? I don't have anything on me right now.
I feel like last year you did a whole like MSPT readout with the beta server. It was like a nice graph with a purple line.
Yeah, that was a year ago. I'm probably not going to remember that, but I probably did something like that.
Darn, unfortunate.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think piston bolts are fine.
So
yeah, honestly.
Oh gosh, NPF, no! Where's the bus falling off the side? Okay.
Okay, right. Honestly, it is a bit of a holdover from the old world back when we had a much slower machine and piston bolts were the quickest way of travel. Warp transport was not a big thing on the old world at all.
Okay, I see M Radio putting in a comment here. It would be possible to make piston bolts require staff approval to see if it would be laggy or not. Friendo, I think this was the point of the beta server.
Yeah, it's a holdover.
And here's the thing. I also do get a lot of comments being like, this is cool and all, I just don't see many people using it. It's fine. I honestly agree.
Honestly, like, niche is fine. But, like, niche is not a reason to, like, be banned outright.
Okay. So, I have a comment, but I've actually already talked to Whale about this in a sec, but I'm going to be honest, Whale, I don't feel like you've been listening to what I've been saying about this. So, the proposal itself, I think I would be fine with lifting the ban. My concern is a bit outside of that. It's more like the way you've been approaching this. I understand that you feel like you've been, and we've talked about this, like you feel like you've been left out of this community. Because we have, it's very obvious we have very different standards. We have very, we like our warp wheel, we like our train carts. That seems to be the in vogue thing here. And I get your point about like, we want to try to be as diverse as possible. But my concern, and I hope you take this to heart, perhaps in maybe future proposals that you might want to consider, the tone that you're giving off is kind of off-putting to the point where people may actually not want it. It might make people not listen or not listen to your arguments. Like, it's kind of, I understand you're kind of like, do you understand what I'm saying? There's this sort of sarcasm that it's kind of, it's not sitting well with me, I guess, and I'm not sure if other people too. If that makes sense. Like a lot of what proposals is the presentation, like making sure it is, what kind of tone or theme you're trying to convey here. And yeah. Okay, so some people aren't noticing it, and that's fine. I am noticing it, right? It's a little, yeah, it's a little bit.
I think it's more just kind of a misunderstanding of the intent and the context. Like, well, the server has been going for 13 years this year, I think. Or is it 13 years this year? Like, we have a lot.
13 years in a couple months. Yeah.
Yes, so we have a lot of rules about that are holdovers. The piston bolt ban is one of those holdovers. Like, again, you weren't here on the old world per se when redstone transport was in vogue, when it was quite popular.
I'm aware that was a thing.
Yeah, we've moved on a little bit, but as far as this proposal goes on its own merits, like, the testing's been done, it doesn't seem to cause appreciable lag any more than other, redstone. So, for this proposal in its own merit, like, yeah, fine. Bring forth the piston bolts. I don't see them being very popular, but that's not the. Anyway, that's just a by the by.
Well, sorry. So yeah. Well, do you going back to what I was saying? Do you have any response to that? Like, do you understand what I'm trying to convey to you here? Like,
to some extent.
Maybe a different way. Maybe a way to summarize it. It does feel like it feels a little vindictive, I guess. Like, I guess, or maybe another way of saying it. I think I did tell this to you. Like, the way to convince other people of your way is to not sort of shut them down, or worse off, insult them. Like they're if they're not considering your point of view. It's to just simply to be patient and to, educate them. If it sounds like they don't want to listen to you, you can just ignore them, but just don't, like what you, like with the people so far in this meeting, right? So
I've so far attempted to make no responses to such comments. Well,
you did with Radial and them a few minutes ago. So, like,
oh, that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm referring to here. Right. So, anyway, going back to the proposal itself, there doesn't seem to be any issues at this point. Like, the lag issue's been taken care of. Whether or not how popular it is, we don't know. But I'm sure there'll be at least some people who want to try it. I think that was also one of my issues. Like, I think I asked you, Will, like, if you can demonstrate that some people have some interest in it, then yeah, like that would actually go a long way to, strengthening this proposal, right? Because it shows that there is demand for it. Mattel, just to be very clear, yeah, I'm not opposed to the proposal. I'm opposed to how he's gone about doing this proposal, which is it's a separate topic, but I feel it is something important to touch upon. The presentation is yeah, in a way.
Yeah, I think it doesn't help matters that the MRT contains a lot of people of both different cultural backgrounds, also people who might be neurodiverse and some who aren't, etc. So it does make these miscommunications happen, but it is worth pointing out. What
I'm worried, that totally understand, but I worry about is some people might misinterpret what Whale might have the best intentions, but they might misinterpret that and not just based on that tone. They might feel like they don't want to support the proposal. Is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, like I try to give Whale some tips, like if you want the best way to get people to be on your side, there are some things you can do to do that. Yeah.
I don't feel we're getting a little bit off, a little bit off topic. A little bit.
Yeah, I would argue the message has been communicated.
I would argue this isn't about whale. This is about piston bolts.
It should be about piston bolts, yes. So
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back to the topic at hand. I think the message has been thoroughly communicated.
mhm. I guess the question is, are there any actual objections to it? Like I did see, I think in the thread, like Val had some, I think Val Screams had some concerns about like the aesthetics about it, but I'm not sure if that is a common criticism or at all. More of a
I
comment.
mean,
really?
also
Okay.
keep in mind that piston bolts are like how it's set up is a lot slower than a train cart at max speed. A train, according to Whale's write-up, the piston bolt goes at 20 meters per second, whereas train carts with the permissions we have set up, they cap out at 60 meters a second. So in terms of like chunk loading lag, that's not a huge issue.
Well, do you have any has anyone expressed interest in building one? Like, say the rule is lifted. Like, what's like an immediate one that people could expect in the near future?
Immediate one that people would want to build.
Yeah.
I actually talked to some people about making like a little intercity system, both A to kind of wheel it around, and also B to actually, put out the more slightly more nuanced benefits of such a system to the full test, because I think where you really get the benefits of such a system is when it's at scale, because it's the whole deal with not necessarily the speed in and of itself. I know Athena was talking to me about this, I think literally as straight as in the thread. And what I told her was that, if we ran it between over a relatively large system, maybe it actually wouldn't make sense, like, just to skip every town along the way and be like, yeah, no, we're gonna bypass your little town because it's not important. It's like, no, that's not how you do it. You pretty much would have to stop at essentially every town, every point of interest along the way, because really the routing and arithmetic logic to enable basically any kind of routing you'd like to see, that's really where it shines. In this particular case, what I told people I thought was the most useful was the ability to simply change your routing at will. You do not have to get out of your cart. You just press a button, you change your route. You don't get out. That's it. That's all you do. And if you want to start skipping stations or stop skipping stations, you also do that with the press of a button. Don't leave your cart. So there's a certain level of convenience there that I think not only have I not seen in a single train cart system built, that honestly probably wouldn't match the aesthetics and realism of train carts particularly well, because I'm not sure how I feel about your train driver reaching out the window and trying to push a trackside button, you know what I mean?
Okay, I think they do that on the New York subway, but that's bad.
I think that's beyond what my question was. I was just simply asking for people who are interested, and I mean, Tungsten Protocol just said they would build one. So anyway, I think that goes beyond answering the question there. So yeah.
Approved.
It seems like
that's long and short of it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just see I'm just double check the rules here. 'Cause it's only that one sentence in the rules, right?
I think it is just that one sentence in the rule. Like, I put this in the thread, but I'm a strong believer any sort of restriction we have should have a good justification for it. Like, we restrict airports because they are quite big and will potentially... We saw what happened on the old world.
Okay. Just, I guess, as an admin note for myself and maybe DNA, we might want to double check the member app question because I don't know if piston bolts are mentioned in one of the questions. So we might have to update that there.
Let me know.
Yeah. But just a reminder that, yeah, we'll have to update it. But okay, we'll remove that from the banned list. And that's that.
So we have minecart contraptions which lag the server is what's currently in there, so I think that's fine to stay.
Okay. All right. I think that is the end of the community issues. Were there any other topics, like ad hoc topics that people wanted to bring up? I mean, Dean, I was actually going to ask you, like, I don't know if you want to say anything about the ticket plugin, if how's it's going, and if you need more people to test or something.
Yeah, it's working fine for now. There's a couple bugs which have been pointed out so far. Power1 points out one with the ticket pricing. It doesn't currently charge people the correct amounts for custom tickets. So I'm currently fixing that. But beyond that, it's all been pretty smooth so far. So really just any other feature suggestions, that kind of thing, just let me know and I can put it into the next update, hopefully. I really appreciate all the testing that went into it beforehand anyway, so hopefully public release at some point in the coming months, so we'll see how that goes.
I'll follow on to that. I know Fred and Vicky have been, they really want the curve building plugin on the main server, right? So, yep. So, they've done some testing on beta and haven't reproduced that weird console error and that was happening. So I think I think next week I will look into just bringing that plugin onto main with a caveat. If the error might occur again, it actually probably will, given that it'll be more used. So the workaround is to reload the plugin. Usually reloading plugins is an admin only permission, but just for curve building, I think I will make it mods and up. So in the event that this crash happens, if there's a moderator on at the time, they have the ability to reload it. To be very specific, the error that happens is for some random reason, while you're using the curve building plugin, the indicators that show you the curve in game stop working, and they stop working for everyone using the plugin. It's a plugin-wide error or crash, in a sense. So,
and
yeah.
In the past, it has been triggered by people using the BCPOS clear all commands.
Yep, specifically, yeah.
Which both me and Fred have used numerous times to try to force the error to happen, to try to help figure out what's been going on, but we have been unsuccessful.
Yeah. So I did file an issue with the curve building dev like several months ago. I think they're AWOL right now, so hopefully they'll come back and actually look at it. But for now, this is going to be our workaround, and hopefully it's not going to blow up the server. But yeah. I guess also I'll mention I know that some people wanted some more plugins on beta, like the Open Audio MC stuff and that sort of thing. I think that'll probably be the next thing. I know 121.5 Paper just announced this morning that they have experimental builds for 121.5 out. It took them a little while longer than usual. So I would imagine that maybe within the next month or so, those builds will be stable, and then at that point we can start thinking about updating to 121.5. So just to give guys a bit of a timeline of updates in the next while. Okay. Any other things? Well, I know there's a trustee meeting, but I'm kind of trying to delay. Please no. Please
give me any consolation. I'm reading it, so.
You're reading it, JT?
No.
Oh, why?
Yeah, Elite has to do something else, so I volunteered.
I think Elite mentioned
Why did you
picking
say
up
yes?
the grandmother.
Okay, Ginty.
I don't know. I thought it sounded fun. Okay.
Oh, okay. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Okay, Ginty, if you have the... Oh, I see. Grammar from score. Okay. So, yeah, if you have the notes, please go ahead.
Hold on, let me just switch to voice activity. Never mind. Let me just okay. That's how I'll start. So the MRT Chamber of Trustees presents the trustee meeting for April 12th, 2025. Presiding over is the Honorable Elite Neon, Speaker of the MRT Chamber of Trustees. Convened in the Great Meeting Hall of the MRT Chamber of Trustees, Parliament of the MRT Central City. Nominations. Motion to promote the North Star commuter rail in Minneapolis, which is being murdered by cowardly Metropolitan Council, to trustee, and 24 trains per day, passed 5-0. Margot Casper, who is the ex-wife of Elite, Narnia, and Protocol, to trustee, failed 1-1. Peter Griffin, for trustee, passed 3-1. Rena Chan, board for trustee, failed 1-2. Skibbity Toilet, for trustee, failed 2-4. The Chicken Jockey, for trustee, passed 4-0-1. I Show Speed, for trustee, failed 2-3-1. The speaker reports that Narnia 17 is hereby appointed to the Senate of the Minecart Rapid Transit, and that as they are the only member of the Senate that at this point, Narnia 17 can be reasonably described as I am the Senate. The Honorable Gretchen Big Gretch Whitmer, for trustee, passed 4-0. For crimes against SEPTA and humanity, Pennsylvania State Senate Majority Leader Joe Pittman is hereby voted to gas and defenestrated, despite the motion coming from a treasonous staff member. The vote passed the floor for trustee passed 5-0. Elite Neon for member in recognition of his academic and athletic achievements at the University of Michigan, denied by executive fiat. Motion to recognize the United States as the rightful winners of the Four Nations Face-Off, whilst affirming support of the sovereignty of Canada, passed 2-1. Motion to reverse nay means yes, denied by executive fiat. Motion to play Pot of Greed, where you will be able to draw 3 additional cards, tied 2-2. Speaker votes aye. 15. Motion to congratulate the Florida Gators on their March Madness win, denied for Florida must be punished for its sins. Motion to declare the Right Honorable Mark Carney as leader of the free world, passed 1-0-4. Motion to confer upon some dust bunny the brevet rank of trustee for the purpose of sitting and voting in the Chamber of Trustees, passed 7-0. Motion to rename the server to A Family Guy, A Rapid Transit, fart, failed 2-4. Michigan's PBS and NPR stations for trustee. Motion to declare utter disgust and amicability Motion to declare utter disgust and amicability towards defenestration for the Pennsylvania State Senate for their crimes against SEPTA and human decency, passed 6-0. Motion to promote SEPTA trustee and triple funding, passed 4-0. Lester Holt for NBC Nightly News for trustee, passed 5-0. The Capital Arena Transportation Authority of Lansing, Michigan for trustee, passed 5-0. Motion to turn everyone into a cat, passed 3-2-1. Motion to create a special project random joint channel for the trustee meeting, denied by executive fiat. Motion to declare spoons as the national animal of the MRT, passed 3-1. The Detroit Red Wings for trustee, passed 3-0. Meeting adjourned, go home. I, the acting Right Honorable Ginty Order, acting Speaker of the MRT Chamber of Trustees and Head of the Government of Minecraft Rapid Transit, Grand Marshal of the Holy and Sovereign Order of the Big Board, and the Commandant of the Shadow Point High Bioweapon Patrol, do declare this document to be the manifestly undemocratic will of the MRT Chamber of Trustees and the MRT Senate by assent of its sole member, and of its Speaker may Eris the Eagle condemn the Hun-like barbarism of the Metropolitan Council of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the Pennsylvania State Senate for their murder and attempted murder of the North Star commuter rail and the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, respectively, and may he continue to spread his most omnipotent many such cases on this noble, hallowed, and humble institution, and on the people of the Minecraft Rapid Transit server. She blank on my blank till I blank.
Did you breathe at all during that?
Not that I know of.
Are we alive still? Hello? Hi.
Yeah, I'm related. Should I roll back the GSM area today, or should I just leave it because it is the corner of the world?
It doesn't matter as long as you have time. Yeah. Okay. We're at the Q&A portion. So you have any questions, comments, concerns about whatever's been discussed today or anything else? Now's the time to discuss it. Actually, I did have one thing. Foot, if you're here, did you know this might be a good opportunity. You have the conductor building contest coming up soon. Do you want to announce anything about that, or maybe remind people about that?
Yes, it starts in 3 hours, and I haven't made the blocks yet.
Oh dear. Okay. Good luck.
I'm going to go find a spot on the lab world to do that.
Okay. I guess to remind people, I believe it's open to everyone, not just conductors. So for the full rules, you can read the thread or whatever announcement Foot decides to post in the next few hours. Anyway, any questions, comments, concerns? Say in chat, and we'll call on you. Wiki imploded? What did you do?
Oh, that's good. That's better than Wiki.
Oh, Wi-Fi. Okay.
I had a page open because MBF's vehicles are great, and I refreshed the page. It's like it loaded fine, so the wiki is fine.
Yeah, Wiki would be more of a like, there's something. Wiki doesn't usually crash, but yeah.
I'm not sure everyone heard. I'm not sure everyone heard the trustee meeting notes. I think I might need to say that again.
No.
Yes, do people want me to roll back the GSM area or just leave it how it is?
I think some people are still playing right now, so just leave it.
I'll just leave it, yeah.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah. Ginty, if there's a bit of a tradition with the trustee meeting notes of putting them for some reason in the Boarwick library.
Does anyone know where that is?
Yes, in Boarwick.
Oh, okay.
More helpfully, the Boarwick library is the building I'm at now.
Okay. I think the meeting is coming to a close. Thanks everyone for joining us. It was, I think we got a lot of work done here because, we got a lot of changes happening. The next meeting will be on May the 10th, I believe. So, yeah. Goodbye, I guess. Yeah.
Bye.